piece of shit.
Can you believe that?
I'm like so annoyed of this.
I know. Guys,
Uh-oh.
I am no longer at my corporate job.
Guess
Rebecca's
what?
staying. Rebecca's staying. Rebecca here is what I'm at.
Okay. You're not?
Since when?
Oh, no.
I am working on the podcast full time now, and it's crazy. Next month is our 3-year anniversary of starting this podcast.
Oh, my God. You're right. We got a full-timer. We got a full-timer on our hands.
Full-timer. And, you know, last Wednesday, I was sitting at my desk on the first day of this new life, which also happened to be on our dead mother's birthday, which I think is meaningful to a point. But I was crying tears of joy, reflecting on how this happened.
Stop.
What brought us here? And I'll try not to get choked up, but I don't think I will because I'm just too excited.
When you said that, I got a little wispy.
I know.
In the eyes.
Your nose tingled a little bit. You know?
A little bit.
If you're new here and this is your first time listening, thanks and welcome. But we usually don't talk very long at the beginning of our episodes, but given the occasion, I do want to talk this out.
That's right.
Just real quick.
Okay. Wow. She already warned me that she was going to give a little spiel because we've been holding this in for a week or two.
No, just a week.
Well,
2.
Well, we knew whatever. Anyway. And so this is very exciting. We've cut Rebecca loose from the bounds of the corporate cog, if you will. So go on. Go ahead. What do you want to say?
Well, so in 2016, nearly 10 years ago, Rach and I set out to work for ourselves. We knew that we were meant to work together. I mean, it just made the most sense. And because of a pet peeve with being able to see a bra cup line under a shirt, we created a bra that's supposed to be completely invisible under clothes. And with it, we started an LLC. We called it Twinks, TWINNKS. We know what a twink is, yes.
Duh. And we're here for it.
And we're here for it. Anyway, we thought it was our calling, but truth be told, it never felt natural. It's a great idea. It was a great idea.
It is a great idea. I wish someone would do it.
Me too. The design was an overlay that would extend over the cup's edge. It would kind of smooth, like hold down the edge and kind of smooth out that transition. So you would not see those god awful cup lines under a t-shirt or whatever. Mm-hmm. But with zero experience in the fashion industry, we had to learn everything from the ground up, find factories, negotiate prices, pick materials for every fucking component of a bra, cups, boning, straps, band, the overlay, hook and eye, everything.
I don't want to talk about this.
I know, I don't either because I now resent the company, but
stop
it's our journey.
Saying that. I feel bad for it.
It's our journey.
Ugh.
So we had to pick all that, having no idea if they would all work the way we wanted it to. And first, I don't resent Twinks like that. It's just because it got us here. But yeah, I do.
I guess you could say that.
It took 4 years, 3 different factories, 15 prototypes, both of our 401ks, and a week-long stay at a hospital in Charlotte due to a perforated stomach ulcer. But that's how determined we were to create something on our own. Mm-hmm. I somehow finagled my way on a Zoom call with Rebecca Minkoff to ask her for advice. We have countless DMs with Amy Smilovic, the creator of Tibby, asking about cost and pricing and margins, like we just nagging anyone who could help. At one point, we got on LinkedIn and we filtered to the fashion industry and searched specifically for people who worked or designed undergarments. We reached out to them, asked if we can send them our latest failed prototype to see what we're missing. I mean, my God, imposter syndrome is real.
No, I hate this.
I know. And
stressing me out.
Hated almost every step of the process. Eventually, we drained the last little savings we had, got a loan from Rachel's husband to cover the $10,000 tariff to get our 1,200 bras from China to the U.S. And I can't speak for Rach, but I forced a smile on my face because in reality, I wasn't 100% happy with the product.
God, this is a bummer. Is this going to be more or less bummer than your actual story?
That's really up to you.
Okay.
But per Amy Smilovic's, I don't know if it's Smilovic or Smilovic. God bless her. Know. She gave us a spreadsheet for margins. But per her advice, trying to get a product perfect would kill the product. You'll never launch. So we just ran with it in hopes that everyone else would love it. And some did. But with $0 marketing budget, we relied on the product to speak for itself and hoped that word would spread. But it didn't. Given how driven we were, Rachel's husband even agreed to let Rach quit to focus solely on Twinks. And it was a stressful time. What? I mean, I know you did contract work, but.
Yeah. Well, no, I just switched to freelance. There was a bunch of factors in that. I switched to freelance for a couple of months and then I got back in the corporate cog, if you will. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, it was true. He rocked it.
Yeah. It's also another reason why I get to quit first this time. The very few sales we made, we pivoted to loungewear and got a small batch order from a company in LA with a built-in bra that was perfect for lockdown, which is where we were at the time. Mm-hmm. Well, I did love this. I still wear it. I
still wear it. I love our loungewear. Yeah. I love it.
The sales weren't great and the money was draining. We could not afford a professional photo shoot for this one, so we paid some amateur models to snap some pics from their iPhone in California. I don't even know how we found them.
They sucked.
Oh my God. It was
Upwork, but they sucked. Let's talk about a bait and switch because their portfolio looked amazing. And then we got back and we're like, wait, what?
And they took it probably from an iPhone. I have no idea how they did.
I don't know.
We gave them direction. We said, run with it, but it was not in no way website ready. That's for sure.
Whatever.
And that's when the company fatigue set in. There was one point I was hoping Sarah Blakely would catch the wind of the idea of Twinks and rip us off for the bra, just for some notoriety by blasting her on Instagram from stealing from a small self-funded company. That was literally.
No.
Yes, I did. I literally thought about this. And then
I know. We emailed them. We're like, can y'all just buy this idea from us? Because we did look into a not utility patent, the other one. Whatever. Mm. We're like, literally, if you gave us I can't remember how much. Just buy it from us. We're over it. And you would rock it. It is a good idea. I'm telling you. I still want someone to do it.
Sure. And as the founder of Spanx, she would be able to turn that shit around so quickly and for nothing, please.
For real.
But yeah, obviously that didn't happen. But it was like what she said in her episode of How I Built This Podcast. She said it was like when she wasn't creating Spanx, it was like she was stuck in a movie and couldn't find the director. And I still felt that way doing Twinks. It was just imposter syndrome was awful. So even with the dwindling sales, we opted to give a portion to Texas EquiSearch, which I know we've talked about before, but they're the first ones on the island in Aruba to search for Natalie. They run solely on donations. The founder created it as a result of his own daughter who was kidnapped and murdered. So I don't know. We've been very drawn to them since 2005. And a bra company giving a portion of sales to a search team made next to no sense, but to us it did because that's where the passion and interest was.
Yeah.
I mean, a failing company shouldn't be giving shit away, to be frank, but we went with it.
I mean, I don't think we changed their lives.
No.
To be honest.
Probably gave them a total of $10.
No, we gave them more than that. But yeah, no, you're right.
So anyway, when we weren't hustling to keep Twinks afloat, I would listen to a true crime podcast, whether on a run or a drive or wherever. And at the end of it, I always found myself saying, I would have told it this way and recreated the story in my head. And being completely burnt out at this point on corporate life, on Twinks, on everything. Rach and I needed a creative outlet. And I remember being on the phone with you either at the end of 2021 or beginning of 2022 and whispering the idea to you because I did not want to tell Barrett yet. Yeah, because he's never known me without a side hustle. We met a few years into Twinks. So I've always I've just been, he saw how stressed I was, how much was on my plate. And he was already like, I want my wife back type of thing. So I talked the idea to you. Like, maybe we need to start a true crime podcast. And he walked in the room and said, did you just say you're going to start a true crime podcast? And to my surprise, it was like an epiphany. And he said, that makes so much sense. Like that's it. That's your golden egg. That's the ticket.
It wasn't my idea?
No, it was
Are
mine.
you sure?
Sure. I also came up with the name, which yes, I did.
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm. We
I
bought
don't know.
cheap ass microphones from Amazon, hence why our sound sucks in those early days. Sorry about that. And we brainstormed names. Want to hear them? We have
They're
them.
still in our notes. Yeah, I did see them the other day, actually.
February 2nd, 2022.
Okay.
Number 1 was People Are the Worst.
Duh. And that was one of the early ones. And I was like, we can't just land on the first thing. And both of our Payne said it too. He was like, well, you do like always say that. How much you hate people.
I wanted it to be like a saying of some sort. And I was like, that is it. So we all on the list was also baffled. And then it says in parentheses, because our stories will leave you baffled, ? Like I had to explain that.
Right. Yeah.
I
know what baffled means.
Yeah, why did I feel the need to explain it? Gut check was on the list. It's never an animal, which is so stupid because
what?
Who says that?
It's never an animal.
Yeah. It's a mannequin that people always think a dead body is. So like, why did I say animal?
Wow. Well, we were just like, I guess brainstorm sesh.
No stupid ideas. And I'm like, yeah, sure there were.
Well, some were.
Wait, what was one?
Oh, wait. What? Okay.
Okay. And then, I kind of like that one. And I also like our last one. I hate people. Same vibe.
Same vibe.
So, on April 22nd, 2022, we launched our very first episode. And I think that first month we got 15 downloads. And today we are at about 3 million and growing. Yes. I couldn't be more grateful and humbled and appreciative of every single one of you. I'm getting teary.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Here we go.
Literally, this would have died by episode 50 if it wasn't for y'all telling your friends, supporting Patreon, leaving reviews. Y'all got us up the charts. Y'all got us noticed by Believe.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, hold on.
BB.
Y'all got us noticed by Believe Network. You've killed it. And as a result, I get to be a better mom.
Stop. Stop it right there. Stop it right motherfucking there.
Sorry. Hold on. I got this.
Oh my God. It's so exciting. It really is.
I get to be a better mom, a better wife, more patient, happier. No more ulcers for this girl.
Oh.
So thanks, listeners. Rach, thank you for doing that TikTok a few years ago on Madeline McCann that went viral because that is how most people found us. Bobby Bones, thank you for playing said TikTok on your podcast and helping us spike even more. Thank you, Lacey. That's right. You know who you are. Lacey H. You are our very first, quote, random follower, reviewer, listener.
What?
Who reached out, and said you love the podcast. And I'll never forget the feeling of having a stranger validate us.
Dude, oh my gosh. You went back. You really found some stuff.
I do remember those days. I didn't have to find it. I remember Lacey.
I do kind of remember that. I definitely remember being like, oh my God. Wait, did you see that message? Someone that we do not know just messaged us and said they love the podcast. That is so awesome.
It is a result of all of y'all. I'm quitting corporate America with 2 toddlers and no health insurance, and I couldn't be more excited.
It's retirement.
It's one down,
not really.
one to go. Not really. I'm working on the health insurance pipeline. One down, one to go. Rach, you're next.
Oh my gosh, that was so exciting.
I know. And to get to the part you actually care about, the question of what you get out of me going full time. And the answer is, I don't know yet.
We're working on it.
We've played with a few ideas, like an extra bonus episodes or like a new tier on Patreon. We've played with the idea of kind of like a book club, but make it like a true crime documentary where we can go live on Patreon or something
or on Instagram, anywhere.
It doesn't have to be something. Well, no, that wouldn't work because they'd have to be a member. I don't know.
Oh, right. I don't know how that works, but we're toying with ideas. We just didn't know how to answer that yet when we knew that Rebecca was going to quit. So we're like, let's not say anything yet.
Yeah.
And here we are still not knowing yet saying something. So whatever.
Well, I know, but I'm just throwing out ideas in case someone's like, oh, I love that.
Yeah.
We talked about Survival Sunday where I release a badass survival story on the last Sunday of the month or something. I don't know
an
what
extra
it means
episode
yet.
somewhere. I don't know. We don't know yet.
Right. We don't know yet. We're still playing with it because I'm still kind of getting used to. I don't want the research quality to go down. And researching, we each get a 2-week break between each other's stories, because we alternate. And that 2 weeks is a lot of my time researching, making sure I get my shit straight. Y'all have seen podcasts who don't get shit straight.
Yeah. Y'all see what happens to them. We don't want to be that.
So we just I gotta get my new routine down and figure it out. But
it's very exciting. It's
so exciting.
All thanks to y'all.
Yes.
Whether you're just a listener of the free pod, great. Because guess what? That's how we get downloads and that's how we get more ad revenue. I'm going to be real blunt. I mean, yeah.
Right.
And we're not going to add stuff out anything, but that is how we make some of the money.
What do you mean you're not going to add stuff?
Well, because I see listeners on Reddit all day, not us, but like anyone, a lot of podcasts that do stuff the episode with ads because they need to make money off of it. We know we're not going to be annoying about that. But it is important that we make money so we can like really focus on launching this thing and making a real difference. So whether you've listened for free, thank you.
Yeah.
Whether you're a subscriber, Patreon and Apple,
thank you.
Huge thank you. That's the consistent money if we're being real honest.
Yeah. Ad revenues come in every quarter.
Yeah.
But Patreon and Apple subscribers monthly.
Very helpful. Y'all have no idea. So thank y'all. And on that note, if you're not, consider subscribing. Come on, whatever.
Whatever. And if you can't afford it, that's fine. Tell your friends. That's it. Okay, I'm done. Promise.
God, y'all, if you are new, we never.
I already said that.
We never talked.
All right. Today, I'm going to tell you a little story.
Oh, that wasn't it?
That wasn't it. We're back in Texas. Sources for this story are Crime Library, Chicago Tribune, Texas Monthly, Dallas Observer, which both were like Vanity Fair articles.
Look at ya.
Golly, there's a lot. We're going to talk about a couple high school sweethearts in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Diane Zamora and David Graham. Diane Zamora was born in 1978. She's the oldest of 4 siblings. Her and her family were very close, but her father had a hard time keeping them afloat. He struggled to keep a job, and the financial issues put a strain on the family, but it only made Diane more driven. At 9 years old, she announces at the dinner table that she wants to become an astronaut. And this is not your typical kid's dream. She was obsessed with making it happen. She hung posters all over her room. She would often write to NASA. And that's all she talked about.
Wow.
As she got older and into high school, she really focused on getting good grades and filling her resume with extracurricular activities so she could get into a good school where she planned to major in physics and then eventually, become an astronaut.
Hell yeah, girl.
But unless she got a scholarship, she wouldn't be able to do it because her parents couldn't afford it. So this really became her number one priority, even studying hours into the night by candlelight when their power was turned off.
Oh, God. That is good for her.
Mm-hmm. Now, early into high school, 8th or 9th grade, Diane's dad cheated on her mom. And eventually he left the family to be with this other woman. And this destroyed Diane. Because of this, she actually stayed away from all guys at her school. She saw her mom work 3 jobs to make ends meet, and she was determined to never be in that situation. She was going to be so successful from the jump that if a man ever did this to her, she could tell him to buzz off without the slightest concern of her financial situation.
Atta girl.
So every hurdle in her life she used as a means to work harder. And it certainly did not come easy because as the oldest sibling, Diane had to step in as a mother figure to her 3 younger siblings while their mom worked. And that was all on top of her goal to graduate number 1 in her class. So needless to say, she kind of lost interest in things that most high schoolers live for. She stopped spending free time with her friends. She was definitely not interested in dating, which apparently was a shame to the guys in her class because she was mesmerizing, according to one of her classmates. He said,
wow.
When she looked at you, it was hard for you to stop staring back.
Wow.
Sorry, dudes.
First of all, that is such a nice thing to say from one of her classmates. Or am I like, okay, calm down? I don't know. I don't know.
I think
I think I would be flattered, but wow.
Sure.
Okay. What? What does she look like? No, it's not important, but I'm just curious now. She's
petite, tan, dark hair. If she were to, the actress, if she was in a movie, I would think like a 90s Rachel Lee Cook would play her.
Okay.
Got it?
Got it.
I think so. And
cute.
If we're going to go ahead and do this, David Graham would probably be her boyfriend, her eventual boyfriend would probably be like a Channing Tatum.
Okay.
Big, very tall, shaved head. Good, yeah.
Good looking.
If I, yeah.
Okay.
If I had to,
if you're gonna place them,
yeah.
All right.
In 1992, at 14 years old, she joined a Civil Air Patrol program. That's kind of like ROTC, but it's for students interested in aviation and military careers, and it's phenomenal to have on college applications.
Wait, she's only 14 at this point? Oh my God, I'm picturing like she's a senior in high school.
It's because I said Rachel Lee Cook.
Well, no, and because that guy in her class said she was mesmerizing. Was that later down the road?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. I was like, wait, what?
Probably.
14-year-olds talking like that?
Yeah. So it was here she met her very like-minded future boyfriend, David Graham. He went to another school and Diane was immediately attracted to him, but they were only friends at first. She was not letting anything distract her. David was also 14 years old at the time and was described as a brilliant student, and his teacher said he was the type of young man every parent dreamed of and was so respectful that he, quote, didn't so much as throw a spit wad in school.
Thank God, because that's disgusting.
No, I'm going to make spit wads cool again.
Oh, please.
When we start recording together in person, because that's one thing you get with me quitting, we're going to start recording in person together and set up a studio.
Yes, we are.
And when we do, hold on to your hat, Rach, because if the moment you say something I don't like, spit wad in the middle of your forehead.
Sick. If you do that, I'm quitting. You want to feel stress? I'm quitting the pod. You're on your own. Have fun.
Look, I've been carrying us for 3 years.
How dare you?
All right. So David was a cadet leader in his high school's junior ROTC program. He also ran track, and just like Diane, he was an honor student at Mansfield High School, which is about 18 miles from Crowley, where Diane went. And as a side note, doesn't Mansfield sound familiar? It sounded familiar to me.
What? Jane Mansfield.
Oh, there you go. Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe.
I felt like we did another case there or something, but I don't think we did, but I Googled it and it does have a rap sheet a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Especially in the 90s, which is when my story takes place. But just this year, a kid was arrested for bringing a gun to school in January.
Oh,
so
shit.
I was like, oh, God. Is that what I'm thinking of?
Is that, it's Texas, you said?
Yeah. It's right outside Dallas, Fort Worth. It's like probably 20 minutes, 30 minutes away from there. In 1993, when David was there, a 16-year-old named Dorothy Robards, something like that, stole barium acetate from the chemistry lab and poisoned her father by slipping it into his refried beans at dinner.
Jesus.
She was convicted of murder and sentenced to 28 years in prison, but she was released in 2003 and lives under a new identity.
Whoa.
This girl's in David's grade.
Shut
so I was like,
up.
I know, I've never heard of that, so I don't know. And then in 1995, another girl he went to high school with, Adrian Jones, was murdered on a random school night and it went unsolved.
Stop.
So it has its fair share of crime.
Jeez.
And some wonderful things there, I'm sure, too. I'm sorry. Mansfield, Texas people.
Sorry, y'all. We do have a lot of Texans.
I know.
So better be careful.
So anyway, David was in ROTC and dreamed of joining the Air Force Academy and becoming a fighter pilot. When he met Diane, I know it's badass. When he met Diane, he agreed they should just be friends while they focus on pursuing their careers. But after a couple of years of friendship, he couldn't take it anymore and decided to ask her out. At this point, they're both 17 years old. It's very, very Joey and Dawson type of relationship.
Okay. Now I'm on track with you.
Now you got it.
Now I'm there.
You got it. And after the first date, they were inseparable. Diane told her mom immediately David was the one. When they were around each other, they couldn't help but like touch each other all times. They were just very, cutesy. Like if they couldn't hold hands while walking, Diane's finger was clinged to his belt loop type of, you get it.
Yeah.
Texas Monthly article said they both love calculus, physics, and government, and they talked on the phone late into the night about their homework. which
God,
blows my mind.
Wholesome.
I know.
Like, what'd you learn in government today?
I know. And it's just hard not to think about and laugh when comparing to the relation.
Wait, what? What are you going to do? What are you going to do now?
When comparing it to the relationship that you had with a guy you also met at 14 years old.
It was the exact same.
We have new listeners, so they may not know. But, and I haven't mentioned in several episodes, but Rach dated a delinquent when we were 14 years old.
Yes,
and
I
she
did.
asked me to stop talking about it. But y'all might be new here and need to know.
That you might need to know. We always talked about homework and calculus and the equation for a slope being y equals ms squared.
Blake was probably
I don't know.
I was high as shit in calculus today, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Calculus? I'm not in calculus. And I'm like, yeah, you are.
Well, but like Diane and David, they were kind of similar in that Blake, Diane, and David would eventually go to boot camp, but for very different reasons.
Very
different reasons. Anyway.
I feel bad. I asked her to stop talking about it because he passed away
last year, but he was not violent. He was funny. He would think it's funny. He would think
it's funny, actually. Yeah, he was not like a piece of shit kind of delinquent. He would just like, stole his parents' car when he wasn't supposed to, and nothing not violent at all. Right. So
anyway, so David and Diane were each other's first girlfriend and boyfriend. And since they had similar morals, goals, views on life, they began planning their lives together. And in September of their senior year, David took Diane to a pawn shop. He put his hunting rifle on the counter, which was apparently his prized possession. The man across the counter gave a little wink, wink, like he knew what was happening here. And he passed David a small velvet box in exchange for the gun. And right there, David got down on one knee and proposed.
Seniors in high school?
17 years old and engaged.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'd maybe wait.
Well, they didn't want to wait, but being very, structured, type A, career driven, they had a set plan. And that plan was to get married on August 13th, 2000, after they graduated college. So like a 5-year engagement.
Oh, okay. Better, but still, okay, never mind. I'll hold judgment. That's fine. Great.
Yeah. They had everything planned too. They would charter a bus to carry their friends and relatives to the famous cadet chapel on the Air Force Academy's campus. David would wear his uniform, Diane in a white dress that she was already shopping for. And at the end of the ceremony, they would walk under crossed swords held by the other cadets. Mm-hmm. Their parents were obviously a little concerned, told them high school sweethearts sometimes aren't forever. But once they turned 18,
I know what can you do? Anything.
And sometimes high school sweethearts are forever. So,
True.
They came around, especially hearing the 5-year engagement plan. That they were like, as long as you stick to that, fine. How about it?
Sure.
So second semester, senior year comes around, and surprising to no one, they got into their dream schools. David was accepted to the Air Force Academy in Colorado, and Diane to the Naval Academy in Annapolis, which is huge.
Yeah.
Here are some stats for you.
Oh my God.
Of the 8,700 people who applied to the Air Force Academy, only 1,239 were accepted for the fall semester of 1996. Of the nearly 10,000 people who applied to the U.S. Naval Academy, only 1,200 were accepted. And of those, only 200 were women.
Oh,
so
wow.
10,000 applicants, and Diane was one of the 200 women they let in.
Yeah.
Quite the accomplishment. They were honored in a special ceremony at each of their high schools where they got a standing ovation, the whole thing. But obviously, long distance for these two sucked. I mean, the most grueling schedule you can imagine, and you're across the country from your fiance.
Yeah.
Who you're used to talking 24/7 with. And now you have to rely on the occasional email when the other one wasn't busy.
Yeah. And you're broke and you're a flight away. You're not buying plane tickets every other weekend or whatever.
Right. Diane's squad leader, Jay Guild, said that Diane had trouble keeping up and she seemed, quote, emotionally distracted. But I mean, the entire first year at the Naval Academy has got to be so hard. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, you just want to talk to your person. You just want to vent. And when David wouldn't respond for days at a time, it took a toll on her. Mm-hmm. Diane's mom said they were at lunch over parents' weekend. And when David called, she got so excited to talk to him, she started physically shaking. So
Oh my God.
she missed him.
Yeah.
Diane has 2 roommates, Mandy and Jennifer. And one night in August 1996, they're all gabbing late at night about how in love David and Diane were. And Diane's all, yeah, no, duh. We would do anything for each other. And one of the roommates said, would you even kill for one another? And Diane said, we already have.
Oh, yeah, I do know this one. Holy shit.
You do?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because I'm here to tell you, people, some of those who are great students, do no wrong, even light up a room, can be monsters.
I knew it. Yeah. Yes, they can be.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That makes me feel better about having to go to the juvenile detention center to visit my boyfriend. And when I was 14 to whatever age, 16.
It should make you feel really good about that.
Never did that. Never did that. Snuck out, but not that. Thank you so much. So fuck you, Diane. How dare you throw all your accomplishments in our faces?
Oh, I know.
But I can't remember who they killed. So
okay,
go on.
Well, remember at the beginning of the story when I told you that in 1995, a girl named Adrian Jones was murdered and it went unsolved?
Stop.
Well, it was unsolved up until this happened.
Oh my God.
First, let me tell you about Adrian. Adrian Jones was a sophomore at Mansfield High School, and like David, she was on the cross-country team and was an honor student, but was the polar opposite of Diane. Looks, personality, everything. AJ, as most people called her, and what I'm going to call her throughout all this, was a cute little outgoing blonde-haired, green-eyed chick whose mom actually nicknamed her Bubble Butt because it bounced in circles when she walked.
Wow. Her own mom is sexually harassing her. No, that's great.
That's the 90s version of body positivity, okay?
Bubble Butt in the 90s? I don't think so. You got Kate Moss. You got, I think I would have been pissed if someone called me that.
Yeah, that's true. Even though she was only a sophomore, she already knew she wanted to go to Texas A&M and become a behavioral analyst, which is badass.
Yeah, there you go.
She played soccer at one point, but a knee injury in 1994 kept her from playing anymore. So she became the team manager and essentially their sole cheerleader the entire season, just yelling shit from the sidelines and having the best time, which is what she was known for. Her positive attitude and outgoing personality that quickly made her very popular. Nice. Her friend Jessica said that she would do anything to put her friends in a good mood, even if it meant moonwalking like Michael Jackson in front of a crowd when she couldn't do it to save her life. She had no rhythm, couldn't dance for shit, but she did not care what people thought of her. AJ had a 10 p.m. curfew on school nights, and most days after school when they didn't have sports or work, she and her friend Jessica would put lawn chairs on the edge of the yard at Jessica's house and wait for friends and neighbors to walk by so they could stop and chat. I love that.
I love that too.
A very Dateline thing to give a broad statement like she's so likable, not an enemy in the world. But I really appreciate specific stories like that. It's just it's funny. Hey, come talk to us. Where are you going? What are you doing? Like, how quirky.
I know. That's fun.
I love it.
Let's just sit here and wait until someone we know walks by.
Or not know. Hey, neighbor, my name's Adrian.
You know, oh my God.
It's funny. They would do this until that 10 p.m. curfew.
Oh my God. No, now I'm bored of that. No, that's fun.
Also, every night she would tie a red, white, and blue bandana around her head and walk all 3 of her family dogs, which were 2 German Shepherds and a border collie. I just love that it's noted that she would never go without that bandana around her head. It's like, okay, I have my America bandana on. I'm ready. I'm out. It's just, I just love little specific stories like that.
Sure.
Also, the thought of a 5'3", 116-pound girl walking those 3 high energy dogs gives me anxiety. But they walked her for sure.
Yeah,
they walked
for sure.
her. Mm-hmm. But I just,
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
She's fun.
Then at night, she would lay in her waterbed surrounded by her soccer posters on the walls, talk to her friends on her Mickey Mouse phone while listening to Pearl Jam.
Stop it.
Vibe.
She's okay.
She's a vibe. Like,
Done.
you want to be friends with this girl.
Yeah. I love everything you just said except the waterbed.
Oh, sure. But that's 90s for you. As far as AJ's friends knew, her and David did not know each other. Yes, they were both in cross country, but he was a senior, she was a sophomore. They ran in different circles. They have very different personalities. He was obviously very serious, rigid, some might say, and she was clearly not. But what her friends didn't know is that on November 4th, 1995, after a track meet in Lubbock, Texas, David gave AJ a ride home. They ended up not going home, driving around, and according to his confession, they were having fun, laughing, spent a few hours together, and ended up having sex in his car. Now, this is about a month after he proposed to Diane.
Oh, yeah.
And to be clear, AJ did not know he had a girlfriend, let alone a fiance. He didn't tell anyone at school when he got engaged. I'm not sure why. I think to avoid the you're too young stuff.
Yeah.
And probably for this reason, to hook up with girls, who knows?
Sure.
But regardless, AJ didn't know. And her friend said she had standards and would never have slept with someone else's boyfriend or fiance.
Yeah.
And after it was done, it kind of went back to the way things were. They never spoke about it. They never talked really at school. It wasn't like AJ was after him or wanted to date him. She was fine with it being a one-time thing. She even got a boyfriend a few weeks later, Tracy Smith.
Okay.
So it was like it never happened, but David was riddled with guilt. And a couple weeks later, on December 1st, he confessed to Diane. Some sources say he confessed that night, but Diane actually had a calendar that was later recovered, and it had November 4th date circled with the word Lubbock written on it for like Lubbock, Texas. Since that's when the cheating took place. And then December 1st was circled and it said, David told me written on it. So I'm going to go with that. Right.
Okay.
Yes. They're at Diane's house and he said he needed to tell her something and he confessed. Now, remember, Diane's dad cheated on her mom. And so she lost it. Anyone would, obviously. But I mean, she started really losing it. She was banging her head against the wall. She was screaming. There was no calming her down. She started ramming her head into the floor, trying to crack her own skull.
Oh, God.
She was she was
having a fit. Yeah.
Yeah. According to David's written confession, he wanted to take back the confession so bad, but it was far too late. So to keep her from hurting herself any further, he asked what he could do to make it right, and she simply looked at him and said, kill her.
I can't with this. The theatrics. Don't. I mean, really? That's going to make it better? You sure? It's a high school love interest. You're going to make a very permanent decision on temporary emotions because let's be honest.
Right.
You're 17. This probably isn't going to work out. It might, but you'll get over it.
Taking the life of someone else and forcing AJ to pay for David's mistake isn't going to bring the trust back.
No.
You're still going to wonder what he's doing. Come on.
You'll either get over it or break up.
Right.
Don't kill her.
So on December 3rd, 1995 at 10:30 p.m., AJ was on the phone with her boyfriend, Tracy, when someone beeped in on the call waiting. She clicked over and her mom, Linda, overheard her voice go into a whisper. Then she ended the call and finished her conversation with Tracy. When she got off the phone, her mom asked who called in and she said, David from cross country. He's upset about something and needed to talk, but she wouldn't go into details. We now know that David asked her to sneak out that night and Adrian agreed. Around 12:30 a.m. that night, David crept down AJ's street and flashed his headlights twice. She snuck through her window and climbed into his car, and they were driving for about 20 minutes, and they parked nearby a lake, and he acted like he was going in to kiss her and then wrapped his hands around her neck.
Jeez.
AJ started fighting back, but what she didn't know was Diane was hiding in the back seat, waiting to come to her fiance's aid should he need it.
Stop.
Yeah. She made herself known and told AJ, I know what you did, and started hitting her in the head with a dumbbell.
Oh my God.
AJ wasn't going down without a fight. And keep in mind, AJ and Diane have never met. She has no idea why she's fighting for her life. She's completely clueless as to why this girl is attacking her or what is going on, which is so sad. She died not knowing what she died for.
Right.
She was like, what the fuck?
And what the hell, David? It took one request from this lunatic of a girlfriend you have. Right. And you're just like, Okay, I'll do that. I thought he was straight laced and wanted a good
It's
future.
shocking.
What is going on? Stop
What
it.
is going on here? Oh no, there's another piss off factor. But
oh, great.
David grabbed his gun and started pistol whipping AJ while Diane continued with the dumbbells. And after several blows to the head, AJ managed to escape through the passenger window and started running, but got caught on a barbed wire fence.
Oh, God.
And sadly, those monsters caught up to her before she could escape. David said he realized at that point that he had to finish the job because he didn't want AJ to report them. So they hovered over her and shot her in the head. Then, to make sure it was done, because Diane said, I don't think she's dead, David turned AJ around, held the gun in between her eyes, and pulled the trigger.
God, this is brutal. They're disgusting.
When they got back into the car, David turned to Diane and said, I love you, baby. Now do you believe me? And she said, yes, I love you too. As if all their issues had just evaporated.
All is forgiven. Wow. Lunatics.
According to some sources, as they were driving, Diane said, we shouldn't have done that. And it started a huge tiff. And I'm like, I'm sure it did because the damage is done.
I mean,
monsters.
It's almost as if you should have thought it through before.
Well, here's the thing. If he confessed on December 1st and this was December 3rd, that's 2 days to calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
Calm down. Nope. Diane was going so batshit, banging her head against the wall. I'm like, if AJ lived next door and Diane got a gun right there and shot her, I'm like, now we could, she could argue crime of passion. Sure. This is not. I'm like, sorry. No,
of course not.
You had a weekend to calm the fuck down. It was Friday. AJ was killed on Sunday night. So
Jesus, I hate it. Thank you.
It. David and Diane didn't really think it through on what to do after. They are covered in blood and they have no idea where to go. So David called his best friend Jay Green, who often let David sneak through his window at all hours of the night, which I do not understand because, again, if David's a straight-laced dude, I don't know why he always sneaks out. I have no idea. Right. But they had this weird open door policy that, to my understanding, even Jay's parents were aware of. And they were like, as long as you put the screen back in the window, that's fine. Come in whichever weird-ass way you want. I don't know.
He's like Sam on Clarissa Explains It All, maybe. Like maybe it's like that. It's not like a sneaky thing. It's just like the way they do it.
Yeah, he said at all hours and days of the night, that's just how he did it.
Okay.
Even during the day. It's actually much like Joey and Dawson.
Oh, there you go. Another Dawson's Creek reference and Clarissa Explains It All. Bet y'all didn't think we'd work those in, but we did. We pulled one through. He must not have had a great home life. Am I wrong or right? Like maybe Jay's parents were fine with it because they're like, yeah, we feel bad for that kid. Sure. Whatever makes him happy.
I think it was like that. I think his mom abandoned them when they were little. His dad was distracted.
Yeah.
These all sound like latchkey kids for sure.
Well, sure. These are the times.
Except for AJ, whose parents were immediately, around.
Yeah.
Oh. So anyway, they go to Jay's house through the window. He lets them in. David tells Jay not to ask any questions because he won't want to be brought into this. Dude, you are cleaning blood off yourself in my shower. You already brought me into it, but whatever.
Right.
So Jay asked no questions. David apparently started throwing up, and the reality of what they just did starts hitting them. According to Diane's written confession she gives later, they both started crying and began to pray for God to forgive them. All right there in this guy's room. He's like,
oh my God. Jay's like, I really wanted to be kept out of the loop.
Yeah. Could you kindly get the fuck out of my room? What's happening here?
Yikes.
So they clean out the car and sneak back into Diane's house minutes before they're supposed to get up for school. And they go about their day like nothing happened. When AJ's parents wake up and see that she wasn't there, they actually hear her alarm going off for minutes and like way too long. She should be waking up by now. So they walk in, they see she's not there. They start calling her friends who hadn't spoken to her. Her mom, Linda, remembered AJ saying a guy named David was upset when he called the night before. So she calls the cross country coach and asks if there's a David on her team and explain the situation. And the coach said, David Graham's on the team, but she's never seen them interact. Nonetheless, the coach goes into David's first period class and asked if he spoke to AJ the night before. And he very calmly and kind of puzzled is like, says no, as if like that's kind of random. He is a solid actor. The coach said, yeah, I figured. Okay, bye. So her mom, Linda, looked in AJ's contact book, which had like up to 50 friends' phone numbers in it, and David wasn't in there. So she's thinking, all right, AJ lied to me that night, the night before, and it wasn't David who actually called. AJ's body was discovered later that same day by a farmer, and the entire community is heartbroken. There was a vigil at school the following day where everyone, including David, sobbed at the idea of some monster killing this fun-loving girl.
And Jay's at this vigil being like, oh, I have a feeling these are connected. Fuck.
Yes. Yes. He is.
Where are you, Jay?
Well, he's kept his silence.
Well, clearly, that's what I'm saying.
They interviewed pretty much everyone in school, including David, and asked most people to take polygraphs just to rule as many people out as possible because they had about 2,500 people to get through. And they've ruled out David very quickly because, again, no one knew about this secret one-night stand. They didn't even ask him to take a polygraph.
And now I'm wondering if it's a one-night stand. Was it rape?
Good question.
I'm not buying it.
It's a good question. Probably. Yeah, probably.
I mean, who knows?
Yeah, who knows at
Whatever.
this point. I don't know. It would be, that doesn't sound like in his character from before. So, but I don't know. Now he's a murderer. So yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But he quickly fell off their radar, and Diane was obviously never on it. She went to another school. They never met, whatever. They looked hard into Tracy, AJ's boyfriend, but he was out of town with his parents that weekend. But Tracy did tell cops about a guy who used to creep AJ out. His name was Brian. I don't feel the need to say his last name. Why would I? But he was supposedly very infatuated with Adrian, and it got so annoying that when he would come into the sandwich shop where she worked, AJ would hide behind the counter until he was gone. So it was
creep.
Yeah. So cops are like, oh, jackpot. And they question him and become even more suspicious because he said the night of her murder, he was drinking alone and got wasted. They said, why'd you get so drunk by yourself? And he said he was depressed because all of his friends had girlfriends. And they're like, well, that seems motive. If you're obsessed with this one girl who won't date you, whatever. Yeah. So now they're like, wow, okay. So they arrest him and charge him with murder. But there is no physical evidence tying him to the crime. So they have to release him, but they're confident, like, this is their guy. So they keep a watchful eye.
Sure. I feel kind of bad for him.
I know.
Yikes.
How honest was, like, that's so honest. I was drunk because my friends had girlfriends and I wanted one.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, wow. You said that to a murder investigator.
Uh-huh. Sad.
AJ's parents were not doing well at all. They drove to the murder site every single day and cried at the makeshift cross that someone put in AJ's honor. And they would look around to see if cops by chance missed anything.
Oh, it's sad. Awful.
They were struggling so hard, and so were her friends. At 16 years old, her best friend got into drugs pretty bad to numb the pain. Another one graduated a year early and moved away because she couldn't fathom going to that school every day without AJ. Like, life-altering ripple effects. These monsters inflicted on people.
Right.
Meanwhile, they're living their best lives. They went to each other's proms. They got accepted to incredible schools where they were honored by their classmates. They graduated at the top of their class. They had nothing but promise until that day in 1996, like a month into freshman year, when all that hard work was down the toilet and Diane told the entire story to her roommates.
What? Why did she do that?
I don't know. I can't help but to wonder if it's because the cops were building this case against this poor Brian guy. She probably thought, like, some kid's going to get arrested and I'm off the hook. I have no idea.
Huh. That is so interesting. What a weird question, too. You love him so much you would kill for him? Like,
well, they're just, we do anything for each other. And the direct line was even kill someone or something.
Okay. Wow.
But I'm sure you can guess. The Naval Academy, the U.S. Naval Academy has a strict as shit honor code that says you have to report any misconduct or wrongdoing. Anyone who lies, cheats, or breaks the law in any way has to be reported. So what made her think that these two girls who hardly knew her would risk their own hard work to protect the secret murder is beyond me.
Right.
To your point. It's no idea. And it was later reported that Diane told Jay Guild, who I mentioned earlier, her leader, in a very casual conversation. And he thought she was lying, so he did not report it, and he got kicked out.
No.
He was asked to resign from the academy. So they are no nonsense.
Sure.
So the roommates promptly told officials at the Naval Academy, and they called the police department in Texas to ask if they had any unsolved murders of a teenage girl. And actually, at the time they got the call, they were building that case against creepy guy Brian.
Right.
And again, I don't know if that's why Adrian felt comfortable. I have no idea.
Jesus.
Which is also such an asshole move. You're going to let this poor socially awkward guy.
I know.
Who is, I mean, albeit creepy, but whatever.
Well, he's not a murderer. That doesn't make him a murderer.
He's not a murderer.
This bitch and David are the worst.
Oh, I know.
Need I say it?
No. Cops flew to Annapolis to interview Diane, and she said she lied about the entire thing. She was trying to impress people. It was a false confession. You know how they do. And the cops, without any physical evidence, are like, okay, that's weird and stupid. Bye. The Naval Academy suspended her for the false confession and gave her a one-way ticket back to Dallas. Except she didn't go to Dallas. She went to Colorado to see David. Mm-hmm. But what she didn't know was the police in Texas were also flying to Colorado to see David. Duh. They're not taking lightly to her false confection.
Confection.
I don't know what that word was supposed to be. I think it was confession.
Probably.
They needed to talk to him too. However, Diane did have a full day head start on them. So they got some time to themselves to get their story straight should things fall apart. So cops ask him why Diane would confess that. And he says he has no idea. She's under a huge amount of pressure, blah, blah, blah. I don't know why she would lie. And they're like, okay. Any reason Jay Green would lie? Because
Finally.
we talked to him yesterday. And he said y'all both came into his room bloody as shit that night. And then in walks David's commanding officer, who he greatly respected. And he caved immediately.
Okay, good.
He told them it was true. They did kill her. But he didn't want to tell them what happened. He wanted to write it down. And they're like, even better.
Actually, that would be great.
Yeah. So they get him a typewriter and they leave him alone. Very little room for error on a typewriter, you know. You know how you can see when someone deletes? No takesies, backsies on a typewriter.
Oh, my God.
So an hour and a half later, he handed over a 4-page confession letter that cops said read like a Danielle Steele novel. He's talking about his love for Diane. Like, quite frankly, it's an unhealthy obsession that they both had for each other.
Ew.
And he says, this is one quote, "When this precious relationship we had was damaged by my thoughtless actions, the only thing that could satisfy her womanly vengeance was the life of the one that had, for an instant, taken her place." Shut up.
Okay.
He goes on to say, the plan was to call Adrian and convince her to come out to my car. That worked. The plan was to drive her near Joel Pool Lake. That worked. The plan was, and this was not easy for me to confess, break her young neck and sink her to the bottom of the lake with the weights that ended up being hit into her head. That did not work.
Oh my God, you're disgusting.
So cops recovered the dumbbells and the gun that Diane and David hid, and they're both arrested.
Sorry, where were they hidden again?
I don't remember what they did with them. It just said, crime library just said they recovered them. So
yeah.
Hid them somewhere.
Okay. Probably the lake.
Yeah, it was probably at the area.
Yeah.
They both pled not guilty. So they sit in jail for just under a year and a half. And at the beginning of 1998 is Diane's trial. That's when it started. And of course, she turns on David. She said he made her do it. She even testified in a very tearful recap of what happened. Said that David was very controlling. He would even rape her, which I do find interesting that you said maybe he raped AJ.
Yeah.
Which they seem to have a very, again, unhealthy, controlling relationship for each other. But it's hard to say what's true and what's not. They both had character witnesses saying, no, that's not true. One of her friends said he was a dick. He would, like, once they went camping and they got in a fight. And so Diane and this girl who testified hid in their tent, and David came with a knife slashing it.
Oh.
Yeah, like he was a dick. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But then his friends are like, no, this is all bullshit. She's like, whatever. So who knows what's true. But she said her written confession, which was damn near identical to David's, was coerced. But remember that calendar, she wrote everything and said, like David told me on December 1st and all that. She wrote on December 4th, Adrian-1:38 a.m.
What?
Which was the exact time range the medical examiner said she died.
What's with this bitch? Why would you?
Right. If you're coerced and you're forced to do it, I think you would want to push that out. Why would you document it? Unless you're planning to go to the police, which you clearly were not. So
Right.
why did you want to remember that? I don't know.
Okay.
She also told Jay Guild, the leader, after he thought that she was like full of shit. She's like, well, no, she lied. She deserved it. She's a slut type of attitude.
Right.
So,
right.
No, I don't know about that. February 17th, 1998, she was found guilty of capital murder. However, AJ's mom asked that the death penalty be taken off the table because she didn't see any reason for 2 more young people to die.
Oh, well, that's very nice of her.
Right. Linda Jones saved the life of the woman who took her daughters. So Diane was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 40 years. 6 months later, David's trial started. Okay. And he made a shocking admission that is so fucked up. He and AJ never hooked up.
What?
They never hooked up. Never kissed.
Excuse me?
Never had sex. Nothing. He told Diane that to make her jealous. And for some reason, decided to keep this secret while plotting this poor girl's murder and said it just got out of hand.
Oh my God.
How infuriating is that?
Wow. What a piece of shit.
Can you believe that? Diane didn't even know, apparently. She tried, that's what her attorneys tried to appeal based on this, being like, what?
Even if she fully thought it.
Yeah.
Not a reason to murder someone. Yeah. She still needs to be in trouble and she needs to be in prison for the rest of her life.
Oh, God. But she is, thank God. But
you piece of shit.
You believe that? Now.
I'm like so annoyed of this.
I know. A fellow classmate actually testified that the night he originally said they had sex, the night after this infamous Lubbock, Texas track meet, this classmate testified she took AJ home that night.
Stop it.
And all of AJ's friend, her best friend Tracy especially, said they told each other everything. And AJ never mentioned David to her, which is why when he was arrested for murder, they were all dumbfounded. It was the most random pair to them.
Holy shit.
Because again, they didn't even think they knew each other. And it turns out they didn't.
What is wrong with this fucker to take it so far that when the idea comes about that they need to murder her, he's not like,
and I'm wondering,
maybe I need to spill the truth. Maybe this is actually, feels like it's going a little too far. Come on.
I'm wondering when Diane was banging her head against the floor, against the wall, everything. He was saying like, I lied. That's not true. And she was like, bullshit, you know? And so to get her to stop, he's like, okay, what can I do? And just went with it. But I'm like, but did you try to tell her the next morning and the next afternoon and the next night? And then Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, that's when y'all decided to kill her? Why?
When she said the only way to forgive you was murder, did you double down on the fact that this was all bullshit or no?
Right.
You did not. Okay. No. I hate him so much.
Mm-hmm. He goes on to say that he wasn't even there the day of the murder. Diane came to his house after she murdered AJ alone. And because AJ was killed as a result of his own lie, he felt the need to protect Diane and insert himself in the actual crime. But he says he was never there.
So how does he think, or how does he say that Diane got this girl she's never met out of the house to go with her to the lake? Like, what?
Right. And I'm like, well, no, it was David that actually called her because AJ turned to her mom and said, it's David from cross country, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think AJ would have gotten in the car with some random girl driving when she thought it was going to be David picking her up. Oh, and also, one other thing. Remember the part when you put your best friend in the world's worst situation?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he said both of you snuck in the window bloody. So like, he said you threw up and then you cried and then you prayed and then you asked him not to get involved.
Right.
Whatever.
So
no,
there you go.
Thank you so much. He's found guilty of capital murder and sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole 40 years. per Miss Jones' request for leniency.
Yeah.
AJ's mom.
She is sweet.
Diane and David do not contact each other while incarcerated. Diane actually got married to a male inmate from another Texas prison in 2003 who she's never met. Never met in person.
Good job.
I know, woo.
Cute.
She and Stephen Mora got in contact via how you do in prison letters and requested a marriage license that was approved, but they both had stand-in bride and grooms and 2 separate ceremonies. Her mother filed the application and legalized it for them. I'm not joking. They never met in person.
Stop it.
They got divorced in 2010, which I'm like, y'all lasted 7 years?
Oh, no, what happened?
And he only had 4 years in prison for burglary and theft or something. So I'm like, okay, wow.
Oh, my God.
I hate to tell you, Diane, but someone else cheated on you.
I can go ahead and guarantee it. That's like am I thinking of Stephen Moran or something? You did a bonus on, but he's like monster. It's not burglary. Yeah. It's way worse.
Yeah.
Okay, so not that.
But no, this is Mora.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, I read that little tidbit in a New York Times segment called "Weird but True."
Weird, stupid but true.
Yeah. She maintains her innocence, like give me a fucking break, and says she's not a killer. In an interview with Dateline in like 2016, maybe 18, she said she went with David to confront AJ about the quote affair, but had no plans to kill her. She just wanted to, confront her. And in the middle of this confrontation, she said David started attacking her, and before she knew it, he shot her. No idea.
Okay.
In a 2008 interview with the Denver Post, David says he now takes full responsibility for his actions. He admits he was there. He did kill AJ at the request of Diane, who was the motivator, but says he shares equal responsibility with her. And he says he really wishes he just pled guilty from the start. He wishes he never got a trial. And he doesn't mention the sex thing. I'm going to go ahead and say that the fact that they never had sex is true. Which is insane to me.
But I mean, well, yeah, he said that, right?
I know. I'm like, well, yeah, he said that at the 1998 trial. It's not mentioned. I don't know why the interviewer would be like, wait, so are you recounting that too? Like, are you saying you did have sex with her?
I hate them.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
He says we got what we deserved and all the whole thing. He's showing more remorse than Diane is. He and Diane will both be eligible for parole in 2036 at 58 years old.
No,
next. How crazy is that?
The hell?
These were the people that lit up the room and they're monsters.
It's bizarre.
And so sad. I know it's all senseless, but like, she didn't do anything.
No.
Had she slept with you, she really didn't do anything. She didn't know. She didn't know about Diane, whatever.
And she didn't even do that.
No, she didn't do that. Even if she did, who deserves murder?
No
Get
one.
the fuck out of here.
Get over it.
Get over it.
Okay. Well, I hate them. Thank you.
Sorry, AJ's friends, family, my God. Patrons. Yuvia, I hope I'm saying that right. Mary, Livia, Renee, Leah, Caitlin, Donovan, Kay, Sarah, Christina, Tori, Rebecca, Lena, Megan, Christy, Jada, Jasmine, Isabella, Chelsea, and Angel.
Shut up. Thank y'all.
You're all angels in my book.
There you go.
There you go.
You said it. Y'all, this is going to make things happen for us. Thank y'all.
Thank you so much. You heard my tearful confession.
Wow.
Tearful, intro.
Spiel. And y'all, and again, I'm just going to throw it out there too. Apple subscribers, sorry, I said that word. Apple subscribers, y'all too. We just can't see them for a shout out. You can't see anything about Apple.
So we have to shout y'all out as a whole every week.
Yeah. All of y'all too. Don't you worry. We love you.
And thank you for subscribing.
You have no idea.
Customs from Uvia. Am I saying it right? I don't know. Shout out to my mom, Frances, who lives in Puerto Rico, but comes to visit me in Texas.
Ooh, I love that.
There's my relation.
There it is, Texas.
Every custom shout out has some relation to my story.
It's
every
crazy.
Time. English is not our first language, but she tries to understand the episodes. She loves to hear you girls laughing, and then I have to stop and translate, and we laugh again.
Oh, I love it.
That.
Oh my God, I love that.
When English is your first language were hard to understand sometimes.
We've heard that.
We've heard that. Don't worry about it.
You're in good company.
You sure are. Love that.
Love it.
Second shout out is from Meredith. I want to shout out my sister, Rachel. Hey. For introducing me to the podcast. I tell everyone about the podcast and how great you ladies are at telling us these stories. Also, every time someone asks, how's life? I add, sentence, that is.
That's right.
Have a nice life.
Sentence, that is.
God,
it's a classic George Costanza moment.
It really is.
Yes.
God, that's how we should always do these life sentence verdicts.
Oh my God, what are we doing?
And so the judge says, have a nice life. Sentence, that is.
Damn it. Okay, that's it.
That's going to be it.
Episode 146, starting
145, I think, right?
No, I know, but starting the next one.
Oh,
Here we come.
And our final custom shout outs from Cherish, longtime listener from Mississippi, and finally subscribed December because I needed more. I love it. I tell everyone about my favorite podcast and their reactions are always the same. People are the worst. Yep, that's for sure. LOL. Thank y'all for being the best. No, thank you for being the best, Cherish. We love you.
We love y'all. Thank y'all so much. And y'all are the best.
The best. People are the worst. Bye.